Yes, I'm here. As you wish. Yes.
Gujarat, Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar. He has served as clinical registrar, lecturer, assistant professor, associate professor at IPGT and RA Jamnagar, Gujarat since for India for 15 years. He has also worked as course coordinator, graduate program in Ayurveda for foreign nationals and coordinator for University School of Continuing Education, member of IQAC, Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar. He is member secretary of Institutional Review Board (IRB), member of Institutional Ethics Committee (IEC), vice chairman of International Cooperation Cell for Ayurveda (ICCA), IR New Delhi. Also is the medical superintendent in charge and additional medical superintendent at Ayya Hospital, New Delhi. He is approved guide for PG and PhD programs of Gujarat Ayurveda University and Delhi University at Ayya. Also serves as examiner to graduates, postgraduates and PhD program in Comar subject in various universities of India. He has publications in peer-reviewed journals, written chapters in scientific publications. He is also handling clinical research projects and also coordinated symposia, workshops and seminars, etc. He has delivered expert talks on national and international platforms, also served as a resource person in the subject of Komar Nritya for CME and syllabus committee of CCIM. He has also visited Austria, Brazil, Germany, deputed by Ministry of Ayush and delivered guest lectures and conducted workshops as well. Now, without wasting much time, I would like to request respected Dr. Rajgopal sir to please proceed with his deliberation. Over to you, sir, and welcome.
Namaste to all. I think I'm clearly audible.
Yes, sir.
मेरे आवाज सबको सही से सुनाई दे रहा है समझता हूँ.
जी जी सर.
ठीक है सब सुनाई दे रहा है. ठीक है.
Thank you, sir. I'm very much thankful to Professor Tanuja Nisri Madam, the Director of Foreign Institute of Ayurveda. Actually, she was supposed to deliver this, the 100th deliberation today with RAV, and due to some unavoidable reasons, she has handed over the responsibility to me. I take this privilege as a blessing from her to me, and thanks to RAV for facilitating this presentation also. let me go for the presentation now. Just a minute. Is the screen is visible now? It's clearly visible. Okay, thank you. On behalf of Professor Dr. Tanuja Nesri, the Director of All India Institute of Ayurveda, a warm welcome to you all participants of this webinar, Gyan-A series of Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapith. The topic which we are going to discuss today here is learning and understanding of COVID-19 studies. Since last 2 years, we have been, or all of us, we are suffering with the pandemic, the effects of the pandemic. Unknown entity, disease entity entered, and lot of understanding or lot of studies have been carried out on that. And today we are in a position to say that yes, we are aware of this disease, or we are able to tackle this disease very effectively. Ministry of Ayush, right from the very first day, started working on this, and time to time guidelines were released. Time to time outline treatment outlines were released by Ministry of Voyage in association or in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare also, for the benefit of general public, and we are all aware of this. All India Institute of Ayurveda is also a part of Ministry of Ayush and has been active since the very beginning, and in all activities of Ministry of Ayush, All India Institute of Ayurveda has also taken part. And there are good learning lessons from what we have done in the last 2 years. The very first lesson is timely action. Timely action is required in any case. If you're taking timely action, the results also will be there. Now going to the details of the COVID-19 scenario, as on today, this is today's data, what we are seeing on the screen. In India, we have 83,000 plus active cases. And there is only 1.21% of death in the total cases. Of course, there is a what you call higher tendency now seen, increased number of positivity is seen now, but not in a very alarming stage. We have faced two very dangerous waves of COVID-19 infection spread all over the country, and a lot of casualties, a lot of morbidities have taken place. But the third wave, what we are getting today, is not that serious, or not appearing that serious. The credit goes to vaccination drive. Ministry or Government of India has taken timely action in introduction of vaccines, as well as introduction of various guidelines. The vaccines have prevented, definitely vaccines must have prevented the severity of viremia in the body. But on the other hand, immunity plays a vital role. And India, of course, we have a tradition of herbal medicines with us. We have a tradition of Ayurveda with us, and every nook and corner of the country, this knowledge is imbibed, and there are a lot of herbal drugs which improve the immunity of the individual. And the timely action taken by Ministry of Ayush, giving guidelines, issuing guidelines, and alerting the health authorities with regards to immunity, immune enhancement, the introduction of various drugs into the drugs of the system into the market, as well as making available of these drugs has definitely contributed in this. The number of deaths are very minimum, and the recovery rate is very fast. You can see COVID death rate in India in the second wave. We have seen the highest peak, whereas in the present day the number is very less. You can say it is very meager in comparison to the previous days. It's only 38 deaths were reported on 22nd June 22. That is yesterday. This is an average of 7 days. So coming to the management of COVID-19 through Ayurveda. Yeah, 3 levels of management is required. The very first thing is prevention of the disease, or prevention of infection particularly. Second is, if infection takes place, you have to manage it. That is the curative measures. And third phase is the post-infection phase, that is rehabilitation. In the preventive phase, the drugs which act on pranavaha and rasavaha srotas, respiratory, as well as immunostimulants may be of proven efficacy. That what we have seen, the drugs like Haridra, Draksha, Pippali, Guduchi. The curative phase, of course, Rasayana drugs, which are acting again on prana and rasava, raktavaha, srotas, and having jwarahara and having Shwasa Kasahara property, because the sthana samshaya of or sthana of the disease is usually the upper part of the body, kapasthana. So kapasthanaja vyadhi, whatever is that management we have to take. Again, drugs like Guduchi, Nimba, Kalamega, Punarnava, etc. were advised. And in the Rasayana, the rehabilitation phase, Rasayana drugs are to be used, where Rasona, Amalaki, Draksha, Ashwagandha, and such drugs are to be used. So these three phases, preventive, curative, and rehabilitation, these three phases are required in the management of COVID-19. It doesn't mean that if infection happens, the cure of the infection, fever subsides, and the patient is out of, doesn't mean that the COVID pandemic or COVID thing is over. We need to have a rehabilitation also. Why this is required is post-COVID conditions are increasing, or reporting of post-COVID conditions are increasing day by day, such as unexplained myalgia or pain in the muscles. Then another thing is increased incidences of non-communicable diseases, particularly diabetes, and such other things. So rehabilitation or Rasayana therapy or Rasayana approach is very much vital after the infection phase. But very important is the preventive measures. You can effectively prevent the disease. There are people among us who are working in what you call high risk areas also, taking appropriate or proper preventive measures. They could prevent the infection in them. We have people in our own community, in our own group also. Coming to the studies on COVID-19, a lot of studies are there. Ministry of Ayush has recorded more than 140 studies on COVID, various aspects of COVID-19, right from infection to management, preclinical to clinical studies. Hello. Hello. The clinical studies from the clinical studies are conducted at AII, All India Institute of Ayurveda, are listed here. About 10 studies we are listed here. It is not 10. Of course, we have still more studies. More important studies are listed here. One of the studies which we are going to take up is clinical study on ashwagandha for promoting recovery from mild to moderate COVID-19 symptoms in United Kingdom, that is in London, Britain. This is an international study. We are just going to start the intervention phase now. All other things are ready. Ashwagandha is entering international clinical trial as a drug. Till now, of course, Ayurveda drugs were going there as food supplements or phytopharmaceutical agents. But this study will be the first study where the drug will, or our Ayurveda drug will enter as a drug there. Ashwagandha based, there are 3-4 other studies too. One is prophylaxis against COVID, SARS-CoV-2 infection, a randomized hydroxychloroquine controlled clinical trial in healthcare providers. This study is completed under the August support of Ministry of Ayush, CSIR, and the report is in the verge of publication. Another study is that the ashwagandha administration in participants vaccinated against COVID-19. This study actually, it is an adjuvant, vaccine adjuvant study, which is again going on, wherein Covishield vaccine administered patients are given with ashwagandha for 6 months duration, and the outcome is assessed. And this study now it is going on. And some of the centers have already completed the enrollment and the clinical component. In a couple of months, of course, this study outcome also will be coming. But in a basic or in a, it is not an authentic one, but preliminary observation rather, if you see, yes, ashwagandha helps a lot in post-vaccine issues also. Efficacy and safety of Ayurveda combinations in patients with mild to moderate COVID-19, community-based participatory project. This is another project which we have carried out. The participants were in a residential colony near to our hospital, where we have seen good safe, what you call, preventive mode of the drugs administered. Likewise, there are studies on Vasa, there are studies on Ashwagandha, Guduchi, Vasa Guduchi combination, there are studies on Kalamegha, there are studies on Neem capsule or Nimba. Such studies were carried out. The details I will be detailing later. One of the important study, which of course is it's a what you call feather on the cap of the Ayush Ministry, is evaluation of immunostimulatory potential of Ayurveda management protocol in cohort of Delhi police. 80,000 Delhi police personals were given with the Ayurveda intervention in a package mode, and we have analyzed the response of them towards the infection, COVID infection in the first wave of COVID-19 infection in India. That is April, May, June 2020. This project is named as Ayuraksha project, wherein 1,60,000 Ayuraksha kits were distributed among 80,000 police personals. The Ayuraksha kit comprises of Anutaila, Samshamani Vati, and Chavanapra Shavaleha, plus Ayush Kwatha. These four things were the contents of the Ayuraksha kit. They were advised to take the medicines meticulously for 2 months duration. And in 2 months duration, what we have seen is the graph on the right corner. You can see incidence per day of COVID-19 in Delhi population versus Delhi police. The Delhi when on 19th May, when Delhi had 500 cases of COVID-19 in positive, the Delhi police had 29. Then 20th July means we have already started our study, and it was mid of the study period where 954 Delhi general population was infected, where in Delhi police it was only 6, 1,216 and 2,531. The number you can see, the number is proportionately it is very less. And there is another report that in the metropolitan cities of India, particularly Bombay, Kolkata, Chennai, and Delhi, there again, if you see the incidence rate of COVID-19 infection amongst the police personnel, because police personnel are they are the frontline warriors, and they were in the field, they were amongst the society, working 24 hours and prone to infection. There again, Delhi police had a lower incidence rate. The incidence, of course, Delhi general population is shown on the lower side. Incidence in Delhi police is also shown on the lower side of the chart. You can see that Ayuraksha kit, Samshamanivati, Ayush Kwatha, Anutailanasya, these things, significant decrease in the incidence and of course mortality rate of Delhi police also in comparison to the general public. That means the immunomodulatory or immunomodulation concept of Ayurveda or Rasayana concept of Ayurveda, it has given good results. The observations what I would discuss this again discussed here. Delhi police personnels, definitely they were saved. We have lot of police personnels who are telling that Anutaila application to the nostril and this Kadha and the Samshamani Vati, whatever we have given in the name of Ayuraksha kit, it has helped them a lot. COVID Health Center, this is another activity of All India Institute of Ayurveda. In the Ayush sector or in the traditional medicine sector, probably this is the first well documented or well recorded healthcare center study. There are Ayush Ayurveda interventions in other centers too, but documentation and outcome documentation, it is not there. Whereas in our center, we right from the very beginning, we have started recording the things in a meticulous manner, and it is recorded and it is published also. Converting a general hospital, converting an Ayurveda hospital, particularly hospital like ours, which is a tertiary care hospital, into a COVID specific hospital, that is a infectious disease suitable hospital. It was a mammoth or it was a big task for us, but the task was accomplished. It took around 1 to 1.5 months for us to convert the hospital into a COVID care facility, where we had identified the area. We had identified the area and divided it into 3 zones. That is green zone, where non-infected healthcare workers used to stay, our nursing staff, our doctors team, our medical team, housekeeping team. The second phase, the second area was a red zone where patients were admitted. And there was another zone called as yellow zone, where the healthcare workers who are entering into the red zone for patient care, they will be coming out. They will take all precautionary measures of donning off of the dress, whatever they are taking bath and other things. That is partly infected area. So these 3 areas we had made in the hospital, and the patient were taken in, and more than 600 patients, 634 or so precisely, were taken in our hospital, and all of them all of them have gone out with a happy smiling face with negative report. In the present third wave, the small third wave period also, we have admitted patients in our hospital. Of course, the setup was reduced because the number is very less, and the treatment was given and they went out happily. 99% patients success rate is there, wherein 94 or more percentage were given only Ayurvedic intervention, and a small percentage required allopathic intervention also for life-saving purpose. And this includes like lower respiratory infection is taking place and respiratory distress develops. Some patients, they develop cardiac issues also. In such cases, we have used allopathic medicines. The lesson learned from this our COVID hospital till date is that merely sticking to one system of medicine may not be working or may not be a success story every time. A disease like COVID-19 whose details are not known, or all of a sudden it has come and the details are yet to be understood. In such conditions where life-threatening situations are arising, you have to use the best of all therapies. A holistic approach was practiced in our hospital, where patients were administered with Ayurveda first. Along with Ayurveda, we had given yoga. Yoga asanas were given, meditation or pranayama was advised, and there was specific schedule of activities in the COVID wards, morning 6 o'clock to night 10 o'clock. Along with that, nutritious diets were supplied to them, and along with this, recreation was also given, where mental peace was targeted, happiness to be generated. So that was also given. And in a small proportion of patients who were, of course, maybe Kavai Gunya or their immune status was poor, they entered into more severity, respiratory issues, where we had to use allopathic medicine also. We have used it. Boldly we are telling we are used. It is not that Ayurveda alone can be done. Yes, but 94% Ayurveda alone and 6%, a small percentage, required integrative approach or a composite approach. The best of the therapies, if they are taken in one package, definitely we can achieve success. And All India Institute of Ayurveda COVID Health Center is an example for that. Now coming to another activity, COVID Health Center activity, that is vaccination. We have vaccination centers, both Covaxin and Covishield are given in our hospital. Of course, one of the studies, Ashwagandha based study, is also taking place in the Covishield vaccination center only. And we administer vaccines to the patients, and Ayurveda is not against vaccination. This we have to clearly understand. If you see the history in early period of British era, there was a practice of Tika. The people from West Bengal or Bihar, West Bengal side maybe aware of this. There was a practice of Tika Karan, wherein attenuated serum, pus of smallpox was administered to the villagers to prevent the onslaught or onset of the infection in the coming year. So this Tika Karana is actually the base of vaccination concept. Much before Edward Jenner or much before the modern vaccination concepts, it was there. But somehow we have lost it in the practice. It is the same concept or the same philosophy or principle is used in the present day vaccination also. So it is not that Ayurveda is against vaccination. There was another study on COVID health workers in the hospital. What we used to do is we used to send a team of doctors and medical team to the COVID ward, COVID area in the CHC. Healthcare workers, none of our healthcare workers got infected in the ward while doing their duties in the ward. Prophylaxis measures were practiced. Ayurvedic kit was given. Anutaila Nasya was advised, and of course PPE, personal protective equipments. All those things were provided. Along with that, nutritive diet and immunomodulatory drugs. Based on that, none of our staff infected within the ward. Of course, getting infected outside is a different thing. Now, this is another study where evaluation of efficacy of Ayurveda drugs enhancing overall strength and immunity in healthcare workers or in Institute of Ayurveda. This is outside the CHC. We have done this. 425 staff of All India Institute of Ayurveda were enrolled in this study. Samshamani, Ayushkada, Chavanaprasha and Anutaila were given, and their quality of life was assessed. The significant changes were observed in hematological parameters. Significant changes were observed in immune status. following WHO's quality of life scoring. The idea of presenting or the study outcome is that yes, Ayurvedic intervention definitely improves the health status, even in pandemic situations. There are some other studies like extramural research studies also we have conducted. One of the studies is neem extract. It was a study conducted with in collaboration with the ESI's hospital Faridabad, and 255 patients were screened in this study, and 190 enrollments were done, and complete 153 subjects were completed the study. It's a prophylactic study, prevention of COVID infection, and duration of therapy was 28 days with 28 days of follow-up. There were ADRs too. Adverse drug reactions were also observed, maybe because of patients were not, or the subjects enrolled, they have not disclosed their health conditions properly. The observations are improved quality of life, sleep was observed, improvement in general immunity, that is frequency of illness which they had previously, that was not there, improved work efficiency, marked weight loss is another thing, marked changes observed in biological parameters, in biochemistry markers, lipid profile, and one more thing is neem is 55% relatively effective. The effectivity rate of neem was found to be 55% in this particular study. This is published also. It is a placebo-controlled study. Another study which we have conducted in DDA residence, which is adjacent to our hospital, where 270 participants were enrolled, and it is a single arm study. So 170 participants completed the study period with the 60 days of intervention, and intervention was Samshamanivati. One of the patients reported ADR, adverse drug reaction. Of course, again, when inquiry was made, the reason was something different from the drug intervention. The observations are statistically significant improvement in generalized immunity, and immune status questionnaire improvement was seen. Improvement in general well-being was also recorded. The idea is Samshamanivati or Guduchi Ghanavati alone is also capable of preventing or having immunomodulatory reaction. There is one more study, of course, this is a study of published from All India Institute of Medical Sciences, efficacy of add-on Ayurveda and yoga intervention in healthcare workers in tertiary care hospital during COVID-19 randomized controlled trial. This study was controlled in association with the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, and the outcome again was very much encouraging. This is the latest publication of that study. Immune status determined as per guidelines of Ayurveda found associated with clinical outcomes of COVID-19 disease, results of cross-sectional pilot study. This is another study, of course, published from our institute, wherein again our experiences are shared. Now, coming to the National Medicinal Plant Board, of course, this is a component Professor Tanuja Nesri Madam has shared from the National Medicinal Plant Board. A joint Ayush DBT network program to evaluate antiviral immunomodulatory activity of Ayush herbs, plant-based study and formulations in COVID-19 against SARS-CoV-2 infection. This was a theme, and under this particular theme, 4 sub-works have been carried out. Sub-network 1 studies on sub-studies on in vitro anti-SARS-CoV-2 activity of selected medicinal plants and formulations and their efficacy against COVID-19 in animal model. Second network study was preclinical and pharmacokinetic evaluation of selected Ayush herbs extracts or formulations for mitigating SARS-CoV-2 and associated pathologies. Network 3 was harnessing the potential traditional knowledge-based medicinal plants identifying anti-SARS-CoV-2 compounds. The second component is preclinical pharmacokinetic evaluation of COVID-19 Ayush herbs and extracts in SARS-CoV-2 associated pathologies. In this particular study, the objectives were immunomodulatory activity was assessed, antiviral activities were assessed, preclinical studies on animal models were done, and pharmacokinetic studies were also done. Various animal models like mice, hamsters, and other things were used. Toxicity studies were also carried out in this. The extracts were proposed for the study were Withania somnifera, ashwagandha, guduchi, pippali, yashtimadu, kirata tikta, katuki, saptaparni, and Ayush 64 was another drug. which is a drug combination, of course, and external like Anutaila, Kilataila, Shadbindu Taila, and Gogruta, external application to the nasal nostrils. It was also done. And the activities you can see here is a large information is there. I'm not going to read these details. The summary of the observations are here. All the herbal extracts have been tested in vitro, in vivo, antiviral against SARS-CoV-2 in the hamster model, and also in vitro immune modulatory potential of the formulation. Prophylactic administration of Britannia and Anutaila have shown antiviral potential in hamster models at the human equivalent doses. In addition, two constituents of Ayush 64, that is Alstonia scholaris and Cisalphinia bonduc, and Britannia somnifera exhibited potential efficacy against TH1, TH2, and TH17 cell differentiation, which was observed with the dexamethasone. Dexamethasone, of course, is steroid. That was a comparator. Tinophora cordifolia, that is Guduchi, Piper longum, that is Pipali combination, also reduced obesity and insulin resistance in high-fat diet-fed mice. In mice model, this study was done. In vitro experiments with mice neutrophils demonstrated bactericidal activity of Tinophora cordifolia and inhibition of neutrophil extracellular trap formation by Schwartzia cirrhata. That means Guduchi and Kirata ticta, they have very potential bactericidal activity, bacteria killing activity. Immunopharmacology, anti-inflammatory, antiviral studies have been completed in this study, and the anti-diabetic study has been completed with all 4 extracts, that is 4 drug, whatever part of the study. This slide again explains about the drugs which are screened by Medicinal Plant Board in association with CSIR, TISHTI. The Ayurvedic plants Shonaka, Musta, Kalamega, Burja, Kiratatikta, Bilwa, Nirgundi, Amalaki, Haritaki, Haridra, Karkatashringi, Ashwagandha suggested as beneficial plants in the treatment of COVID-19 as herbal treatment or adjuvant therapy to the modern antiviral therapeutics. That means whatever Krimigna or whatever Rasayana drugs mentioned, many of the Rasayana drugs mentioned in Ayurveda or in our textbooks, they are proving themselves better even in diseases like COVID-19, which is a new disease, uses entirety to the whole world. Now coming to the Ministry of Ayush initiatives, of course, this is a pass-on reference I'm making. Ministry of Ayush, right from the very first day of announcement of pandemic, was active and is active even today also. Along with the general guidelines as Ministry of Health and Family Welfare releases, the Ministry of Ayush also has done the same. Along with that, lot of health advisories, immunity care guidelines through Ayush systems. That is not only for Ayurveda, of course, for yoga, Unani, Siddha, homeopathy, Soha, Rekpa, all these systems were covered. Standardized Ayush treatment guidelines were given. National protocol for management of COVID-19 through Ayurveda and yoga was released. Placement of 8 lakh plus Ayush professionals on COVID warrior as COVID warriors. Special training program was organized throughout the country by the ministry, and COVID information was disseminated among the Ayush professionals for tackling the pandemic situation. Utilization of Ayush hospitals and colleges in the healthcare facility. Constitution of Ayush Interdisciplinary Research and Development Task Force, and under this task force 141 research studies also were conducted. Many of the studies are completed and some of them are published also. The Ayush research on COVID-19, if you see, there are about 46 studies on prophylactic mode, 44 studies on treatment mode, 15 studies on observational mode, 23 studies on preclinical and experimental study mode, and survey and systematic reviews were 14. And Ayush COVID-19 studies in total 141. This is recorded in the ministry. Of course, other than this, in private sector, a lot of things have taken place. Publications also, manuscripts, 90 manuscripts were drafted and published 31. Submitted for index journal publications 42, and some of them are in international publication also. If you see system-wise, Ayurveda has got a higher percentage here. 73 studies are of Ayurveda. You can see on the screen, map also, all over India, studies were conducted. Active participation of CCRAS and other research units of Ministry of Ayush and national institutes have taken place here. In the COVID-19 crisis, further, immunity boosting measures for self-care was highlighted to the Ministry of Ayush. Measures to enhance immunity, simple Ayurvedic procedures, simple symptom-based management guidelines, of course, which of course can be done in the home, in the kitchen itself. Such things were also highlighted by Ministry of Ayush. Guidelines were released by Ministry of Ayush. All these guidelines are available, free, downloadable from the Ministry of Ayush website. Guideline Ayurveda, guideline Yoga. You can see guideline for Unani medicine, Siddha medicine, homeopathy, and naturopathy. All the systems, Ayush systems, they have actively participated in this. Preventive measures are explained. Post COVID measures are explained. Sir, there was an upsurge of mucormycosis also because of unexplained reasons. Of course, reasons we will not discuss here what may be the reason for that. Mucormycosis, there again, when mucormycosis incidences started increasing, Ministry of Ayush has taken step and information for the practitioners were released. And in addition to that, when vaccination started, vaccination for adults, it was not for children at that time. And looking the vulnerability of children, home care guideline for children was also released by Ministry of Ayush. Timely action the Ministry of Ayush has taken, and probably this is the reason why India could effectively manage the COVID pandemic with the minimum mortality in the worldwide scenario. Community-based study on the effect of Ayurvedic intervention, that is Ayurveda Raksha Kit as prophylactic measure in the pandemic of COVID-19, wherein it's a study of CCRAs in 20 peripheral institutes, 178,000 in the Ayurveda group and 22,000 in the control group are registered. In Ayurveda group, of course, Ayurveda Raksha Kit was given, where in the control group, standard preventive measures were advised. You can see the report here. Lower incidence of COVID-19 symptom in Ayurveda intervention group was observed. That means if intervention group 3.88 and 1.38%, where in control group you can see 2.18% and 1.50%. Similarly, impact of mobile app. This is Sanjeevani mobile app was taken and was developed and it was used. Impact of mobile app based assessment of effectiveness. Feedbacks were collected from the society and the outcomes are labeled here. It has gone for publication also. Now coming to the All India Institute of Ayurveda initiatives in the pandemic, we have in our institute, we have worked in 4 different areas. One is academics, another is hospital services, third is public health and research, and fourth is media and outreach activities. Each of the activities just highlight I am giving here. Surviving through the storm through shelter of Ayurveda. This was an international webinar we conducted where more than 1 lakh people have linked to this. Then in addition to that, of course, training programs were given to our student, postgraduate students, faculty in public health, along with Public Health Foundation of India. Research software trainings were given. Series of lecture and webinars were conducted. Within the hospital, regular hospital services were continued for the needy. Of course, the full-fledged OPD was stopped for some time period, but we had a special OPD where fever-like symptoms or flu OPD, it was continuing. IPD, the general IPD of Ayurveda hospital was converted into a CHC. As I said earlier, it was divided into different zones and other activities were carried out, and 600 plus patients have taken benefit of this. Daily Havana, Dhupana Karma is one of the activity of Ayurveda where it's said to be a krimighna in nature, and daily Havana activity was started in the hospital. Even today it is continuing. Every day we are doing Havana with krimighna dravyas. Free preventive Kashaya distribution to the hospital attendees, staff as well as for the patients. It is still continuing. We had given sanitizers and other measures to our staff. COVID specific activities, we have flu OPD, emergency OPD, COVID health center. We started COVID testing center, and the COVID health center was later converted into a full-fledged COVID hospital with ICU, ventilator, oxygen, and other things. COVID vaccination, COVID call center, post-COVID care center. These are the other things which we have carried out. The holistic approach in the CHC. This is the lesson what we have learned in our CHC. It is not that only medicine works. Ayurveda medicines, along with yoga practices, meditation, pranayama, patient interactive activities for socialization and recreation for relaxation. All these things were given as a package in the CHC and the outcome was excellent. That is, patient went out with smiling faces with negative report. So one system management may not be choice in diseases like COVID-19, Janapadodvamsa, where composite, the best of all pathies are to be taken. In the public health initiative, Ayuraksha project, which I already discussed, preventive kits to the population around like Samshamani, what we have distributed in lakhs around our hospital. Preventive medicine to healthcare workers, we have given health, Ayush integrated protocol developments, post-COVID management. These are all the different activities. Of course, along with Ministry of Ayush, we have carried out. In the media outreach activities, sensitization of the public is required, and for that, various competitions, essay writing competitions and other things. Children are the strength of the nation, and they are the best ambassadors for knowledge dissemination. So targeting the students, we have conducted these activities. This is one of the outcome of our activities, that is Bala Raksha kit. Of course, now it is being distributed. It is available in the Pradhan Mantri Janaushadhi also. This is a very effective kit which comprises of Chyawanprash, Ayush Balakwatha syrup. This Ayush Balakwatha syrup is Ayush Kwatha converted into syrup form with a small variation in the ingredients, Samshamanivati and Anutaila. So, evidence-based Ayush guidelines for COVID-19, our experience is that what we have learned is if you want to manage a pandemic like COVID-19, here of course targeting COVID-19, drinking of warm water, yoga and pranayama daily, usage of spices having immunomodulatory or Agni Deepana property like haldi, haridra and jiraka, use of herbal teas, use of golden milk or haridra, siddha kshira, steam inhalation, oil pulling or gandusha and kavala, nasal application or nasya, along with that some immunomodulatory drug like Chyawanprash. If we are approaching this way, of course, we are very confident that we can tackle any of the pandemics like COVID-19, viral infections or outbreaks, Janapadodva conditions. General measures are required, Ayurveda immunity enhancing measures are required, and simple Ayurveda procedures are required. With this, you can prevent many conditions. Lifestyle disorders prevention or lifestyle disorders also can be kept under control if we are able to follow this. The symptoms before and after period with COVID-19, what has been recorded worldwide is shown here, like fatigue, dyspnea, joint pain, chest pain, anosmia, dysgeusia, headaches, lack of appetite, sore throat, myalgia, diarrhea. These are all the symptoms which see in the post-COVID conditions. And hospital anxiety, depression. This is another important thing which we see in the post-COVID era. In this of course, this is the photographs of the different activities which we have undertaken during the COVID period, pre-training program in the COVID care period, COVID care area for COVID warriors of our hospital. And if you visit All India Institute of Ayurveda now, you can see a COVID wall where we have made photographs of the COVID groups. We have sent more than 50 groups during this time period, and even today it is the COVID group is continuing. We have kept it active because if one patient comes, we are ready to serve them. Testing protocols were there. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare testing protocols were followed. And what we have learned is, yes, these protocols are very essential to prevent the spread of the disease. Standard operative protocols we had developed in the CHC, and do's and don'ts were explained. These are the recording system, how the recording was done. And we stand with the tagline of care with the compassion. Patient care with compassion to the patient and his condition. These photographs, of course, this slide explains what we have done. 40 beds, it's not 40 beds actually, 40 beds exclusive. We had gone up to 55 beds in the COVID area. And today, of course, there is no patient, hence we have reduced it to 10 beds. We had patient last week, one patient the last, and after that, of course, no admissions are there because the severity is not there and people are aware of COVID and COVID consequences. These are some of the activities which we have carried out. These are some of the feedbacks from our respected ministers and who visited our site. And this may be the reason why WHO Director General Shri Tedros visited our institute and appreciated our activities. But what we learned from the COVID period is each phase or each wave of COVID was different. The first wave, where respiratory complaints were more, it had all features like jwara and respiratory or pranavas auto involvement. The second phase of COVID was more dreadful, where inflammatory phase were very quick and fast, whereas third phase is in between, having very varied presentations. In Charaka Samhita, we come across with the one line, Anukta Vyadhi. The diseases which are not mentioned in the text doesn't mean that there is no such thing, or doesn't mean that we cannot manage it. Understanding of the disease is important. How to understand the disease with unknown disease is very clearly given. You should know the disease pathology, the presentation, the udarka or the sequelae and all other things. And with that, you can plan the management. That is what Ministry of Ayush with its experts has done during the COVID-19 pandemic eruption. Anukta Vyadhi Paribhasha was applied. The first phase was more of Kapha Pitta Pradhana, whereas second phase was more of Pitta Pradhana in nature. The third wave is appearing to be a common flu or Vatika Jwara sort of thing. The approach what Ayush Ministry has developed and applied in the COVID management period, it was very successful in controlling the severity of the disease. It is very successful in preventing the spread of the disease also. So with this, of course, understanding of the disease is very important, and application of the classical knowledge to the contemporary time is required. Tattva, Shastra and Vyavahara are the three things. Tattva and Shastra. Tattva will not change. Shastra will give you guidelines, whereas Vyavahara, we need modification of the Tattva. So modification of the Shastra is required. Application should change. What required to the time, that has to be done. With this, we could do achieve success and establish that yes, Ayurveda protocol or Ayurveda can also manage diseases like COVID-19 pandemic effectively. Thank you very much for patience hearing, and thanks to RAV for providing me an opportunity to present my views or our institution activities and our experiences before you. Thank you very much, sir. You are not audible, madam. Please unmute yourself.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for sharing very detailed information.
You.
If any queries are
Hello.
you can ask. Yes, please.
Hello, Dr. Rajagopala.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste, namaste. Wonderful presentation and congratulate you. And my query was very little to know Ashwagandha trials in UK, in London. Is it the Videnia somnifera? If it is so, which form it is being dispensed?
Sir, it is study. Ashwagandha is Vidania somnifera only. And in the Ashwagandha, we are converted Ashwagandha into tablet form. And with the tablet form, it is entering to the clinical study in association with the London School of Hygiene and
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Is it prepared in your institute or where it is being prepared?
No, sir. To enter into European and Britain, of course, we have to follow the regulatory affairs of the particular country. So it is prepared in a setup outside our hospital in Delhi, which is a certified GMP certified as well as UK GMP certified facility.
If it is Videnia somnifera, how can we prepare a tablet?
Why not prepare a tablet? Only thing
Because
is,
Withenia somnifera has lot of fiber content. We cannot make either powder form, or if it is any ghana is indicated, or the preparation modes. If
no,
it
sir.
is not Withenia somnifera, the powdered form is Nagori ashwagandha. That is what most of the times in the market, what it is available
No,
is
sir.
only
Here,
the Nagori
here,
ashwagandha.
no, sir. Here, of course, we have used the extract of Britannia somnifera with the particular percentage of ethanol in it, and the extract is converted into tablet form with the excipients, where the ethanol percentage is maintained.
If it is Withenia somnifera, the formulations from classical point of view, whether it is into the Kshirapaka form or the Avalehya form or the Gruta form, as it is indicated, so Withenia somnifera, Ashwagandha, Ghanavati, is there any reference for that?
No, ashwagandha use, of course, as a rasayana, it is there, and we are
Yes,
using
it is there. Rasayana is there into a compound formulations, and
Yeah.
that is what our application is, like either Lehium form or Grutam form or Kshirapaka form, because it is only the skin of this Withenia somnifera has this lot of active ingredients rather than the fiber cortical woody portion, which it is difficult to make any form of tablet form, or it is difficult to, I have not seen. Only the ashwagandha, what it is being sold in the market, was only the Nagori ashwagandha, what I have seen.
Maybe. No, that is the reason why. That is the reason why the phytochemical percentage maintenance was done in the extract form. We have taken extract also from a European EU GMP certified extract firm. Manufacturing of the tablet.
So it is confirmed that it is Withenia somnifera only.
Yeah. Definitely, sir. Otherwise, we will not get MSRA approval. We received MSRA approval also for this. And LSATM will not take up otherwise. All the measures were taken into account, and then it is done.
Right. So if you Dr. Nagar, yes, Rajagopal, the thing is, have you observed most of the, of course, mortality rate in Bharat is very less, significantly to any Western country. And the reasons why, in my observations, are how many people, is there any demographic study done that how many people not being hospitalized died in the home, or in contrast to the people died in the hospital? Any hospital, irrespective of conventional or non-conventional?
No, sir. When a pandemic like this comes, many other times what happens is non-COVID death also counted as COVID death. And COVID death also might have counted because of the COVID protocol. People might have hidden that the death is because of COVID. So the data what you are asking is not available.
Yes. And then, yes, other thing is like, what was the outcome finally for this Anandaya medicine, which was so popular, and then the queuing was much evidence, like thousands of people were queuing for that. So whether Ayush Ministry has taken an active role to make into larger preparations, or it is just neglected and became as a...
Anandaya medicine, you are speaking of the medicine from Andhra Pradesh somewhere.
Yeah.
No, Ayush Ministry has taken a note of it. Further, what they have done, it's not in my knowledge.
Yes.
Taken a note of it, and of course, it's not in my knowledge.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Venkata Joshi, ma'am, I think she wants to ask any question. Dr. Venkata Joshi, ma'am.
It's the same, madam. Just I asked just now, madam. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you. Is there any question from the viewers? They can ask if any query or doubt is there. Any questions? Okay. Right now there are no more questions, sir. Thank you for being with us today and for sharing great information with all of us. Thanks a lot, sir. And now it's time it's time to extend a formal vote of thanks. I request Dr. Manisha Rana to please proceed.
नेसी जी का भी लेक्चर है क्या मैडम? नहीं, अब तो नहीं है ना उनका?
नहीं सर. Thank you so much, Dr. Purnama. Good evening, one and all. It's an honor for me to have the opportunity to propose vote of thanks on 100th webinar of Gyan-A Knowledge Week, a webinar series organized by Rashtriya Ayurveda Vidyapeeth. On behalf of organizing committee, I want to extend humble gratitude to the We all are truly, truly grateful to you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the knowledgeable explanation also. Now I would like to wholeheartedly thank the respected Dr. Shri Devendra Tribhunaji sir, President Governing Body, RAD, for his blessings and continuous encouragement. I express my humble gratitude to Vaidya Manoj KCG sir, Advisor, Ayurveda, Ministry of Ayush, for providing his immense support and guidance. We are highly obliged to you, sir. I also extend humble gratitude to Dr. Anupam Srivastava sir, Director, RAD, for his constant guidance and support. We all thank him for his valuable contribution and encouragement in all our efforts. I also thank the organizing team of RAD and the volunteer who work behind the scenes for this tremendous effort to make this webinar a great success. I also express humble gratitude to respected Gurujans and the participants who are connecting with us continuously through the series in spite of their busy schedule. And thank you so much for the patient listening, everyone. Now the topic for the next webinar shall be shared with all of you very soon. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Thank you for giving an opportunity to face you all. Thank you very much. Namaste.